Good morning. This is Max Norton reporting for WCNG and WCVP. We have live on the phone with us right now Of the Day. It's a singing group, Christian singing group. And, hey, welcome aboard, guys. How are you this morning?
Doing well.
Good morning.
Good deal.
Good morning. We're super excited to be with y'all.
Good. This is Nikki, Rachel, and Daniel. They're a trio, and they also have a bass guitar player, Travis, and he couldn't be with us this morning, and also Hayden, he's the drummer. And you guys were over here in Murphy, and so tell us exactly what happened.
So we came in for the Tent Revival Crusade that was happening here in Murphy, North Carolina.
Right.
We live in Atkins, Virginia, so we drove about 5 hours to get to the tent. It's always a joy to be in service with Voice of Hope Ministries. So we were thrilled to get to come and be a part of that service. So we get there and we're setting up, and we notice it's a little stormy weather, but nothing, right, that we've not experienced before, with storms and things like that under the tent. And we had just left setting up our merch table and got on stage and was starting our sound check. And there was some interference in our ear monitors, and we stopped for a minute, and we were trying to figure out what was happening. And then we looked around and started to see things lifting off the ground under the tent.
Right.
And just this huge windstorm came in. And my son, Hayden, he's our drummer, and Travis, our bass player, had jumped off stage to catch some trash cans that were kind of tossed around, not knowing that the back of the tent had started uprooting from the ground. And so before we knew it, we had tent poles and lights and stakes and just all kinds of debris just swirling around our heads headed towards us. And the sound engineer that was there, Aaron Butler, began to yell, "Run, run." And so we just ran to the nearest shelter, which was the sound trailer, as quick as we could. It was just so unreal, and just the ceiling of the tent just began to rip off, and just everything flying over our heads and landing behind us. It was something that we have never experienced before, and it happened so quick.
Right.
It was literally in a blink of an eye that the wind came in, and as that tent, as Rachel was saying, as it blew over top of our head, our van and our trailer was right behind the tent. So the entire portion of the tent that had ripped and uprooted was resting and laying on top of our vehicle and our trailer, which was insane, because when you automatically see this, and we have finally gotten to safety back in the sound trailer, and I get kind of tickled at the fact that we ran in a storm, not from one unstable area, but to another unstable area.
That's right.
Because there was nowhere else to really take cover. We're standing there watching not only Voice of Hope's stuff just being destroyed before our eyes and us not being able to do anything about it, everything that we've worked for being destroyed in front of us. And then we weren't certain about the van and the trailer. I literally felt in my heart and in my mind that there were tent stake poles probably through all the windshields. Everything was crushed because you couldn't see it, because, that's a massive tent. It seats 3,000 people.
That's right.
And to see that thing flying in the air like a kite was just unreal.
Yeah, I know Pastor Jimmy called me and asked me to put an emergency SOS out on the air, which I did, and to get help down there to get all the debris up and to get everything cleaned up. And so it was like an army of ants. And, of course, I didn't know we were even going to have this interview, and here we are. So I saw you guys, packing up all of your equipment and everything, and let's talk about your equipment just a second. You lost about $19,000 worth of equipment, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. We had it all set up, and it was all turned on and working, and when the tent just folded over on itself, it exposed all of our gear to the torrential downpour that was happening, and everything got soaked, and because it was on, it fried everything.
Sure.
And the light poles, all that stuff fell on our equipment. My keyboard wound up flying off of its stand, and it laid face up and took on a bunch of water that when we got home, it was draining water for 2 days. When you picked it up, you could hear it slosh. And our drums got soaked, and of course they're wood, so they wound up warping.
Right.
And which just rendered them unusable. And I think in total it was about a $19,000 loss.
Right.
And with that equipment, the $19,000 is in damaged equipment that we have been making payments on.
Right.
So not only do we have to pay the $19,000 to pay off the damaged equipment, just like when your car gets totaled and you got to pay the bank note.
Sure.
With whatever insurance comes back, and that was the other thing. There's really no such thing as equipment insurance because Of the Day has not been a separate entity until this year. We've been in the process since January of this year, becoming a nonprofit. And thank God that once that is finalized and pushed through, but it takes some time because when you're working with the IRS, those nonprofits take a minute to get up and going. That once that's done, we'll be able to actually have full coverage underneath that. But all of this we used for the band, but Daniel and I felt led to make these payments so that we could have what we needed to go out and do what God has called us to do.
That's right. That's good, and that's what we're all about here with this interview, to see if we can get some donations coming your way. And so you want to leave a phone number for folks right now, you feel free to do so.
Sure. The number that you can reach us at is 276-780-6768.
Yes, that's 276-780-6768. 276-780-6768, and that's Of the Day is the name of the group, and they're in Adkins, Virginia, about 5 hours here from Murphy, like Rachel was telling us. And now here's something interesting that we need to we're going to discuss, and that is that the where you got your name. It's out of 1 Thessalonians, verse 5, or chapter 5, verse 5, and I'm going to read that. We have a Bible here in the studio. It says, "You are the sons of the light and the sons of the day," and that's half the verse. That's the first half of the verse, first sentence, and it's and the sons of the day. And of course, the rest of that verse, it says, "We do not belong to the night, on to the darkness." So you're of the light, obviously, and of the day, and that's where you got your name, and that is awesome. I think that's really great that y'all chose that. Just those 3 words out of that scripture is pretty amazing to me. It's a really cool name.
Thank you.
Yes, and do y'all have anything to add about your experience, or anything you want to add here?
I think for us, the incredible thing is seeing God at work, even in something as traumatic for both ministries and for the area and the revival. It didn't stop the move of God.
No.
And if anything, as the scripture says, he works all things to the good
right.
of them who are called according to his purpose. And so we truly believe that we are called for such a time as this. Our ministry, we've been together for 5-6 years in our local church, but God truly launched our evangelistic ministry in the middle of COVID, in the middle of a pandemic. He began to send us out, and our ministry expanded in a time where our nation and our communities were truly struggling.
Right.
But it just shows how strong the arm of God is and how far he reaches. So we're not stopping. We're in the middle of a new record. We're recording in Nashville just 2 weeks ago before we came to the tent in Murphy, and we're not going to stop. We believe the provision of the Lord. There is no gap in his provision.
Right.
And just as he led the children of Israel through the wilderness with the manna, when they came into the promised land, as soon as they gained victory and crossed over the Jordan, it said in that scripture that the manna stopped as they gained meat from the land of promise. And so there was no gap for them in provision. And that's what we're walking out our faith in, that God has us and he is going to carry us through because he has called us to a purpose. And so we're excited about what's ahead. And we know that this is just part of our journey, part of our testimony.
And no matter how devastating this looks in our flesh, and honestly how traumatic a near-death experience is, there are a lot of miracles that occurred on that Friday afternoon in Murphy, North Carolina. The fact that the five of us and Of the Day and Aaron Butler, who was the sound engineer, literally walks away with not a hair on our head damaged. And the fact that our van and trailer was literally underneath the weight of that tent with a telephone pole broken off and looked like it had just been rested there. Metal poles laying up against the windows, and not one had went through a window, and all there was small blemishes and small dents in the trailer. But we drove home, which is a miracle within itself. We're just grateful to be alive, and to be honest with you, we are thankful for every person that has already blessed us financially, but the prayers of God's people. It's been a journey that, even though we wouldn't have chosen this for ourselves, but it's been a journey that's shown us that God is faithful, and that no matter what you go through and no matter what you face, he doesn't change. I believe that he sent heaven down to protect us, and I believe that we are talking to you today because of a miracle from heaven.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the miracles is, like you were talking about that pole, I took a picture of it, and my comment down below whenever I was sending it out was, "Oh, snap," because it was snapped off like a toothpick. And the one that landed between your trailer and your van, just like it was carefully placed there and didn't even hit your jack on your trailer. And I've got pictures of that. And so I was really shocked. But somebody had picked up some of your CDs, and this is what got us here today, by the way, so that everybody understands and knows, how I got involved in this, was somebody had taken one of your CDs, and the case on it is black. It's cardboard, and it has a real pretty writing on it. It says "Of the Day," and the day is in a beautiful bluish color. And but anyway, somebody stuck it under my windshield wiper on the driver's side of my van, and so it went through the rain Friday night. It went through the rain all day Saturday because we had a live remote over in Robbinsville. So it made the trip back home. It made the trip to Robbinsville, made the trip from Robbinsville back to the station the next morning. and because I come in and sign on Sunday mornings. And then it made it through the car wash because I was headed to Florida, and so it made it through the car wash. And so I got to Atlanta, Georgia, and I said, well, I'm going to get gas, and I've got to check that wiper. There's something wrong with my wiper blade. So I thought I had a wiper blade problem. Whenever I picked up the wiper, I saw your CD laying there. So I pick it up and I go, that's a CD. And who is this? Because I didn't know y'all were coming, So I said, okay, well, this CD is definitely destroyed, because I got to thinking back where all its journey had been. And so anyway, I took my knife and cut the plastic off of it, and it's soaking wet. You ought to see the cover right now. I'll send you a picture of it. Anyway, I let it stay on my dash and dry on the way to Florida then in the sun. And so I dried the CD off, and the CD was perfect. There was no harm, no damage. So, and I listened to it on my way to Florida and on the way back to Murphy. But it's pretty incredible how this happens for us to be talking about this right now.
Yeah.
Divine
appointment for sure.
Yeah, I don't believe in happenstance, okay, or fate and all that kind of stuff. So, I think God put us together here and put us together for a reason. And one reason is, of course, we want to extend out to our listeners to, see if y'all can, we can give you a hand here on replacing your equipment and continuing on with your ministry. So, do you guys have anything to add? I'm going to give you your phone number here in just a minute also, but would you all like to say anything else today?
We are grateful for every partner that has reached out, and I say partner because so many people that we don't even really know personally have reached out and partnered with us in prayer. Mm-hmm. And we've needed it. We have felt the prayers of God's people in the last week. And so we are grateful for every person, every ministry, every individual that has reached out and partnered with us in prayer and has also given to us financially. We do not take that lightly. Everything that has been donated or come in the last week has solely been to take care of this damaged equipment. Right. And we're believing that God's not only going to provide the financials for the damaged equipment, but the financials to replace that damaged equipment.
Right.
Because we believe that again, God has got us in the ministry for such a time as this. And so thank you for obeying the voice of the Lord and praying and giving towards our ministry. We are forever grateful.
That's right. And their phone number to get in touch with Of the Day, the singing group Of the Day, 276-780-6768. And that's 276-780-6768. And if you just forget the number or you don't have the number, you didn't have a pen to write it down or whatever, just give us a call here at the studio and we'll be happy to get you connected with Of the Day. And hey, you know what? It would be a good idea right now, I think, to let's let people hear what you're all about. So I have a song here queued up, and it's going to be the first track on your CD. And by the way, they produce very tough CDs, as I've already explained. It can go through rainstorms, car washes, windshield wiper hitting it. Hey, it's tough CDs, y'all. So I'm just being funny. But anyway, this song is called He's Still God, and I'm going to play that right now. And so thank y'all for coming on, and we're going to end with He's Still God. The group is called Of the Day, and I think you're going to find this really good. And thank y'all for coming on today, and God bless.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And here's Of the Day, He's Still God.
'Cause there's no sickness, trouble or danger that can hurt us. Brother and sister, his power is greater than all that could come against. There's no weapon that's formed that will prosper when God is for us. Who can defeat us? His power is greater than all